Hello, everyone. You sure picked a great day to visit here. I'm truly glad to be here also. I understand you would like to hear a bit about my experiences in the Civil War, and I'm glad to oblige. Don't often get to share that history with others, but I appreciate your interest. My name is David Terwilliger, and I fought with the 85th New York Company D. I was born in 1833 in Shenango County, here in New York State, in a town called Guilford. My parents were Levi and Susan Terwilliger. When I was about 2, the family moved to West Elman, and Dad built a home in Birdsville, which is a few miles east of here. My brother and I worked hard on the farm, learning to clear the lands and plant and harvest, so that we could also provide for ourselves when we began our own families. I would imagine that was, and is today, a rather typical ambition. We would be farmers as our father was, and we were in a good place to do that. The time was not good. When we were in our 20s, our country found itself facing a rebellion from the southern states, and we were persuaded to leave Allegheny County to join the Army and put down the rebellion when President Lincoln called us to arms. So after the harvest was completed, in the fall of the year 1861, we left for Elmira to join the 85th New York Volunteer Regiment, which was made up from Allegheny County men. Brother Benaiah was 29 and I was 26. It was October, and we figured we would be back for the spring planting. There were more than a few Terwilliger relations who also answered the call to arms, and so our cousins, neighbors, and even a brother-in-law joined up in Elmira to do our duty. We headed for the city of Washington. We'd make quick work of this and we'd be back home soon. It didn't take long for the rigors of weather and cold, hard ground to drive all thoughts of heroism and ease of duty from our minds. We spent the long, cold winter in camp at Meridian Hill, which overlooked Washington. Soldiers referred to it as mud camp. Not much progress or comfort. Not even dry straw for bedding, and only occasional rumors that we would see action against the Rebs soon. Winter turned to spring, and the 85th traveled on south through swampy conditions and constant threat of the deadly malaria. By April of 1862, we arrived at Fortress Monroe, Virginia. More swamp, and it must have been about that time that my brother Ben was discharged for disability. He died shortly after arriving home, still a young man. Benaiah's name is on this side of the stone, and he died June 4th, 1865, age 31. We fought over the next 2 years in Virginia and North Carolina. The dismal fate of our regiment was sealed in North Carolina in April of '64 at the Battle of Plymouth. Over the 3 days in April, the entire regiment was either killed or taken prisoner. When we surrendered, there were 22 officers and 478 enlisted men who the rebels then marched to Georgia to the Andersonville prison. I spent the rest of my life there and died of fever in August of 1864. I was not alone, of course. The command lost 36 members by death from wounds, 103 from accident or disease, and 222 would die in prisons. In fact, 185 soldiers of the 85th died in southern prisons over an eight-month prison in 1864. I never got come back to Allegheny County to farm and raise a family. My remains are buried in Macon County, Georgia. But our families remembered our sacrifice and have a memorial stone for me here. The Terwilliger name is remembered in this community, and a road named Terwilliger spans a hill to the northwest of where we are right now. I am pleased to be able to come back here today to tell you about the history of that horrible conflict as I experienced it. And I am grateful that the Great Rebellion was not successful in destroying the country, even though so many died defending it. Thanks for coming.